Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Today actually Archana Mataji is doing Kirtan. So meanwhile she comes, shall I start with the Guru
Yes,
Pranam?
yes.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory is to Srila Prabhupada.
Archana Mataji has logged in.
Okay, okay. Mataji, over to you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Mhm. Today I will do the Kirtan. Can I begin today now?
Yes.
Namo Vishnupadaaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 रामा राम राम हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवर धारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी गोपी जना वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यशोदानंदन ब्रज जन रंजन यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव राधे जय राधे जय श्री राधे जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद Hare Krishna. Today we will do Yamunashtakam by Srila Rupa Goswami. भ्रातुरन्तकस्य पट्टनेभिपट्टिहारिणि प्रेक्षयाति पापिनोऽपि पापसिन्धुतारिणि नीरमाधुरीभिः अस्य शेषचित्तबन्धिनी मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी हारिवारिधारयाभिमण्डितोरुखाण्डवा पुण्डरीकमण्डलोद्यदण्डजालिताण्डव स्नानकामपामरोग्रपापसम्पदन्धिनी मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी शीकराभिमृष्टजन्तुदुर्विपाकमर्दिनि नन्दनन्दतन्तरङ्गभक्तिपूरवर्धिनि तीरसङ्गमाभिलाषि मङ्गलानुबन्धिनि मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनि द्वीपचक्रवालजुष्टसप्तसिन्धुभेदिनि श्रीमुकुन्दनिर्मितोरुदिव्यकेलिवेदिनि कान्तिकन्दलीभिरिन्द्रनीलवृन्दनिन्दिनि मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनि माथुरेण मण्डलेन चारुणाभिमण्डिता प्रेमनद्ध वर्धनाय पण्डिता ऊर्मिदोर्विलासपद्मनाभपादवन्दिनी मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी रम्यतीररम्भमानगोकदम्बभूषिता दिव्यगन्धभाक्कदम्बपुष्पराजिरूषिता नन्दसूनुभक्तसङ्गसङ्गमाभिनन्दिनी मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी फुल्लपक्षमल्लिकाक्षहंसलक्षकूजिता भक्तिविद्धदेवसिद्धकिन्नरालिपूजिता तीरगन्धवाहगन्ध जन्मबन्धनन्दिनी मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी चिद्विलासवारिपूरभूर्भुवस्वरापिनि कीर्तितापि दुर्मदोरुपापमर्मतापिनि वल्लभेन्द्रनन्दनाङ्गरागभङ्गगन्धिनि मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी तुष्टबुद्धिरष्टकेन निर्मलोर्मिचेष्टितां त्वामनेन भानुपुत्रि सर्वदेववेष्टिताम् यस्तवीति वर्धयस्व सर्वपापमोचने भक्तिपूरमस्य देवि पुण्डरीकलोचने मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी मां पुनातु सर्वदारविन्दबन्धुनन्दिनी। श्री रूप गोस्वामी पाद की जय। यमुनाष्टकम की जय। यमुना महारानी की जय। श्री प्रभुपाद की जय। हरे कृष्णा। थैंक यू वेरी मच।
Thank you. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, everyone. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada. Welcome back. So Saji Prabhu is back. That's great. Haribol Saji Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam. Looks like he's there. Okay, so we'll offer our prayers and then somebody will do the recap and then we'll start this series. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shruta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagna Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadavaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagna Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesh Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी विश्वभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री प्रभुपाद, जय श्री गोविंद महापुरुष। नमो महावदन्याय कृष्ण प्रेम पदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरतिशय नमः। O most magnificent incarnation, you are Krishna himself, appearing as Shri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You have assumed the golden complexion of Srimati Radharani, and you are widely distributing pure love of Krishna. We offer respectful obeisances unto you. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Yajnai Sankirtana Praye Yajanti Sumedasaham. In the age of Kali, intelligent persons perform congregational chanting to worship the incarnation of Godhead, who constantly sings the names of Krishna. Although his complexion is not blackish, he is Krishna himself. He is accompanied by his associates, servants, weapons, and confidential companions. Nana Sastra Vicharnaic Nipunau Shadadharma Samstapakau Lokanam Hitakarinau Tribhuvane Manyau Sharanyakarau Radha Krishna Padaravinda Bhajana Anandena Mattalikau. I offer my respectful obeisances unto the six Goswamis of Vrindavan, namely Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatana Goswami, Shri Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Shri Raghunath Dasa Goswami, Shri Jiva Goswami, and Shri Gopala Bhatta Goswami, who are expert in scrutinizing and studying all the revealed scriptures with the aim of establishing eternal religious principles for the benefit of all human beings. Thus, they are honored all over the three worlds, and they are worth taking shelter of because they are absorbed in the mood of the gopis and are engaged in the transcendental loving service of Shri Radha and Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narom Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayat Nashtaprayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। जय श्री प्रभुपाद, जय श्री गोविंद आदि पुरुषम तमं भजामि। Hare Krishna, everyone. So let's recap what was covered last week. Haribol.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please forgive me for the video today. There is a light problem, so I can't share my video. So, last session's recap, we did lesson 140. Prabhuji had divided lesson 140 in three parts, like 140A, B, and C. So in the last class, we saw lesson 140B and C. So this particular chapter, 89 and 90, we see the very important topics. In 140A, we saw the super excellent powers of Lord Krishna. Then in the last class, we saw the summary description of Lord's Leela, Lord's pastime, and the very important topic of Pravritti and Nivritti Marg was covered in lesson 140C. So we will just start from lesson 140B, which is gives the description and the philosophical implications that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So what makes Krishna the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It's mentioned in the description that He is the ultimate source of all beings. He is the cause of material creation. He is radiating opulence and love. And He is the highest existence, and he transcends all his incarnations and expansions. He is the Adi Purusha. So, hence, Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Also, through his divine Leelas, he comes out as the supremest, the highest. So, question is, what is about his divine Leelas that are so different from other incarnations? What is the best part of Lord Krishna's Leela, divine pastimes? Anybody would like to answer that?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Krishna's
Dandavat Pranam Mataji.
loving connectivity with his queens and Arjun. All these shows.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Dandavat.
Yes, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Okay. Well, on top of the Mataji, what mentioned is the relationship Mataji. The way he
Yeah.
maintains, even with his sons, with his grandsons. Okay, grand opulence. Okay. With everybody, the way he maintains the relationship Mataji. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's,
So,
that's
yes.
He did
great.
the superhuman activities. Superhuman
Yes,
activities.
And
correct.
he is in everywhere we could see Krishna with everyone simultaneously performing different activities.
Yeah,
Correct.
perfect.
And also,
Yeah.
he's a superhuman. Also, at the same time, he's so humble. Okay.
Mm.
Humility. He maintains that. There are so many examples which we discussed in Bhagavatam. Mataji.
Yeah.
And the
So,
vital connection between the spiritual and material. Everything he connects and do Leela.
yeah. So perfect. Everyone was like gave different aspects of Lord Krishna's Leela, which is so enriching. So best thing about Lord Krishna's pastime is that there is everything, all kind of there is romance, there is action, there is violence, there is family relation, how he manages. So and also different flavors, that how you can Lord Krishna has glorified all relations, parental, like his parental interactions, his relationship with his friends, uh, like we can enjoy Madhurya Rasa. And so basically one has so much of variety, one feels so much joyful. So, and the sweetness that he has in his Leelas, that particular point of sweetness is we don't find in other incarnations. So hence Lord Krishna's pastimes are very relishable. They are cherished, and they are very close to a devotee's heart. So his Leela plays a very important role to connect with him. So his
Hare
Leelas are very
Krishna
rich.
Mataji. One thing,
Yes,
one thing more we can say, spiritual opulence is there rather than material opulence.
perfect.
We
Yeah,
see.
yes, Mataji, definitely.
Mataji, can
Yeah.
I add something?
Yes, Mataji.
Yeah, and he showed us the path of liberation, whereas in contrast, from jnana and sannyasa, that is very different. Simple, just be a devotee and surrender
Yeah.
to him.
Yeah, so perfect. Harsha Mataji also, explained the third point, which is the role of devotion and love. Uh, the role of devotion and love, bhakti. She says that jnana and sannyasa are also the other routes to liberation, but those paths are little like tough, and there has to be some qualifications for to walk those paths. Like one has to be intellectually competent to be on the jnana path, and sannyasis have to be prepared for the worst of the situations. So compared to these, bhakti marg is comparatively easier, provided one has a purity of heart and the longing to emotionally bond with Lord Krishna. So that we can see the emotional bonding that we can see with of Krishna and his devotees in case of Arjuna, his queens. So if we have genuine devotion, then Bhakti Marg is definitely the best path to liberation and also easier. So we come to the nature of reality. What is the nature of reality as per that Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy, Gaudiya Vaishnava is exemplifying? What is the true nature? What is reality
Nature of
actually?
reality means that whatever happiness is we are gaining is from spiritual understanding
Correct.
instead of material realm.
Yeah. So highest fulfillment one gets only if he is spiritually engaged, and if it's only material, then it is not fulfilling. So it has to be on both. So we'll come to that pravritti and nivritti
So
marg.
unless somebody is spiritual, the actual happiness will not come, Mataji. In a simple words,
Yes.
that is a Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy.
Yeah. Because material opulence or material success cannot give complete happiness. It has to have a basis of spiritually, there has to be a foundation.
Yeah.
Unless that is there, one cannot get true happiness. So Prabhuji also explained very nicely that how best part of Krishna was that he was the same in both the both extremes. Like as a cowherd boy, also he was the same. Nothing changed in him, and as Dwarkadish also he was the same. Nothing changed in him. So that is the best aspect of Lord Krishna, that he doesn't change whatever the situation. He is himself, pure. Okay, then we come to the eagerness of divine, that more than the bhakta, the Lord is more eager to see, to meet, or to connect with his devotee. So here in this case, we see how Mahavishnu is also longing to see Krishna and meet Krishna. So that shows that how even divine beings are interconnected. Okay, so and also relationship with Lord is reciprocal, uh, and it is like Lord genuinely desires to connect with his devotees. Okay, let's come to family, community, and family in spirituality. Very, very important point over here. Anybody would want to explain this particular point, or
Hare
what
Krishna,
is the
Mother.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, so it's very nicely explained here. Community and family spirit in the spirituality. It's not it's individual at the same time. It's also communal. So as it says that Krishna's relation with the 16,108 wives and entire Yadu dynasty that we saw, how they integrated with the Krishna being at the center. So they were not isolated in the families like every member is a separate with a different thought, but it was not there. So how such a large family was single oriented towards Krishna? I think that is the essence of that. Again, B point talks about it is not that Prabhupada and Nivritti will come back again, more details on that concerns the
Yes,
spiritual
yes.
message. So it will explain more. So it's not the renunciation, it is the right renunciation, integrating with the devotional to Lord. How the entire Yadu dynasty, his own family members, they played a role. We don't see any grumbling of any one of the family members. How they integrated with the Krishna because of his love, because of his position in the family. I think that gives the inspiration to us in a family, of children, the parents and the grandparents, how and the close knit family, how we can do, how can the spirituality can be integrated. It's a beautiful example, and Krishna always sets example with a very big large family, whereas we may have a small family. So that's the message, central message we see here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Very
Yeah,
nicely
thank
explained by Radha
It
Vinod
shows the
Prabhuji.
perfect grahastha dharma.
Yes, correct.
Grahastha dharma.
So he simply shows like how we can live in this worldly life with the spirituality. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone, for participating so nicely. Here, I would just like to give an example that when you it's like you take everybody along at the same time, you're establishing your own personal relationship with God. So you don't have to renounce everything. In fact, you live in the world thinking that you are with Krishna, and you are at the same time strengthening your bond with Krishna. So that is what Krishna is exemplifying, that it is a communal, you grow along with your family and come towards me. I will just share a very small example. Recently, I'd been to Varanasi. So normally when you're living in metros, or especially Mumbai, the general crowd is very materialistic, and you will find all kinds of foul language being used by people, very abusive language, especially in Bombay. We are unfortunate for this particular thing. But when I recently went to Varanasi, especially in the Kashi area, you won't believe Kashi, the proper Kashi area is only lanes, very small, 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 small lanes. And the if you're going inside the lanes, the transport system is quite away. Like inside, you cannot bring your cars, and only scooters or two-wheelers or very small rickshaws can come in. So these lanes are too many, and there are no signals, nothing. And everybody is bumping into each other. The scooter will bump into the person walking, and from there, rickshaw will come. And so there is so much of chaos in this lane. Not once I heard anybody using an abusive word or an abusive language. Or it was so, because of that, the place, the people are so much into that bhava of Lord Shiva, that whatever happens, even if the accident is happening or some falls down, they still, they will get up, they will help each other, or they would say, "Arey, aisa kyun kiya?" At the most, but you should see and walk. They would say at the most that, but not once in that place I heard somebody talking, wrongly or harshly or using a very bad language. So that is the example, that where God personally is there, all his qualities are there, and the place is energized. So if you have a community, if you have a pious community, if you are part of that, so then the growth happens fast. So that is the importance of community and family. Yes, Prasad Prabhu, you want to say something?
Wonderful example, Mataji. I have seen this in Mayapur, Mataji. And each rickshaw wala respects the rickshaw person so much, especially in Mayapur. Yeah,
Yeah,
within
yes.
Mayapur.
So
So
it's all
wonderful
Lord's
example,
power.
Mataji.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Then we come to realization through Krishna consciousness. This point Prabhuji highlighted very nicely, that only by hearing and chanting one can lead to liberation. So what happens? Like uh, the five verses that were discussed, Prabhuji said like he insisted that it should be explained in the essence should be given. Does anybody remember? Like, how does only simply by chanting one gets spiritual realization, liberation? Radha Vinod Prabhuji, you had explained last time. Would you like to try?
Yeah, so that is the sense of that when you chant, basically you are placed from tamoguna, rajoguna to satguna. Once you are sattvat sanjayate jnana, right? That is what it come. The jnana part is established when you are into that. So from there, basically the whole cycle starts. uh, you know m- you how you connect with other three slokas also talks about. I just
Yeah.
forgot that essence of mother, but
Yeah,
they
yeah.
add to that one. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Start.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. So, one transcends the lower modes, which otherwise is very difficult, comes to the pure mode of goodness. Once he is at the pure mode of goodness, one gets Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam. And if you get Bhagavad Tattva Vijnanam, all your karmic bondages, they dissolve, and all the doubts go away. So, that time one realizes that he is a pure spirit soul, and then he realizes a true identity, that a pure spirit soul is what is uh, what is the aim. The pure spirit soul is meant to serve the Lord. So that's what happens only simply by hearing and chanting the names of Lord Krishna.
Wonderful,
And
Mataji.
also,
That's what exactly I wanted people to understand, the very concept. Just in 2 minutes, you can summarize all these things, all five verses. And that you did it.
thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Aswata Mataji.
And then you come to the B point, that is also important, that it is highlighting the transformative power of divine names. What happens, what transformation happens when we are practicing bhakti? That also Prabhuji highlighted the transformation of the, like, from selfish to selfless. He gave examples that an angry, aggressive person also changes his nature. He becomes humble, more receptive, more helpful. So this is the transformative power of divine names, changes the person's personality, his nature, his qualities. So that is what happens. Um, that is the transformative power of practicing bhakti. So now we come to enhanced description and philosophical implication. These are 4 points, very important. We'll just quickly check one by one. Spiritual opulence versus material illusions. So, great. Yes, anybody would like to say? Somebody? I heard someone. Okay, so we see how Krishna is and his family is based in a lot of luxurious environment, and there is so much of luxury and opulence around. But still, we see that the queens are not satisfied by only the material opulence. They want to personally, they have so many maids, they want to personally be in service the Lord, because fulfillment is not coming from the material opulence. The best is when you personally serve the Lord, only then you get complete fulfillment. So spiritual, so in Dwarka we see material opulence as well as spiritual opulence. So as discussed earlier, without the spiritual basis, one cannot enjoy even the material world. Come to the second point, the interconnected divine relationships. Like we saw in case of Mahavishnu, that he created this and this episode that he could let Lord Krishna personally comes to him, and he could meet Lord Krishna and gets his blessings and grace. So even divine relationship there are, so not just human beings, but even the higher beings, the demigods and the higher divine entities, they are also eager to see Lord Krishna. So they are all interconnected. So they also are, like, they have divine connections, and how they are also longing to see Krishna. So this is the second point. And we come to the role of austerity. Yes, anybody would want to clarify these 2 points, role of austerity and implications for devotees, as they are connected?
Hare Krishna, Mother. So this is again, we'll be discussing little more details on that.
Yeah.
So role of austerity, that means what needs to be followed to get particular thing. You may not like that. That is what is basically austerity. So contrast between traditional austerity, that jnana and vairag, instead of that transformative about devotional authentic love. Love is the essence of everything, and austerity diminishes or reduces that, right? So here, love and attachment is very important. That is what it talks about. Any need of extreme renunciation unnecessary. So it's not required. So emotions are required. I think Charu Prabhuji also mentioned the bhakti is all about renunciation, but all about then what you call our engaging our senses, right? So emotions, all about emotions, but right emotions are required. That's what it talks about. Second, the implications of devotees, narrative devotees actively cultivate their relationship with the Krishna to do heartfelt engagement. So we taste the Krishna, Krishna tastes us, we taste Krishna. That's a reciprocal relation that comes. So it's not that something is existing there and you perform and you just reach. It is not that thing. It's a dynamic relation. I think this point was elaborated. That means we take one step, Krishna take 5 steps, again we take few steps, and the faith is re-established, rebuilt on that, and that faith leads to basically love for Krishna, because we see that he is for us, he is only for us, also, to that level one reaches there, and that empowers us in transcending this material existence. Because in material existence, what we do, we try to depend on our close relations, everybody, right? All that we have. So unless until we come out of that dependence, when we see in a spiritual, the Krishna is a more reliable and trustworthy in all circumstances. We always give that lower sense of enjoyment or lower taste, and that's what happens exactly.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. So basically, very practical suggestions are given by these 2 points is if you, we have limited energy and sources, especially in Kali Yuga. And if we engage into very extreme, procedures of renunciation and all, which would finally can, mostly lead to downfall. So instead of that, you have to be practical and accept a more balanced path, wherein, but uh, which is comparatively easier and practical in today's life. So one has to embrace devotion, so that is important. So and given that, like, if you exhaust yourself with very harsh or renunciation based activities, then the time also goes away. So the more practical way is to have pure feelings, to practice non-violence, and have love for not just the Lord, but all His creation. So that is important. And implication is that one has to see Krishna in everyone. One has to serve like with love, not just the Lord, but in our Vaishnava philosophy, its importance is given that more than Lord, serve His devotees. So that is uh, like one has to include pure love, not just for the Lord, but His devotees also. Okay, so in short, the gist of these two is given, that Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead, and the descriptions and philosophical implications of Krishna is given here, and the two very important pastimes wherein he shows it is proof that he is a supreme personality of Godhead is the Govardhan Leela and the Kaliya Daman, where he which nobody would be able to do except the supreme personality of Godhead. So through these two pastimes, they are like clear proof that why Krishna is the supreme personality, he is the highest. So we go ahead to a very important point, that is lesson 140C, which is the role of pravritti marg and nivritti marg on the path of Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. And these two paths, the important thing is these two paths has to coexist. These two paths has to synergize to achieve the spiritual goal. So this is very important. So the first very important point is embracing the synergy of pravritti and nivritti. So first, who can explain me what is pravritti and what is nivritti?
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dhanavad Pranam.
Dhanavad Prabhuji.
Yeah, Mataji, the spiritual advancement we would like to get being in this material world, okay, and maintaining the family relationships and all that, Mataji.
Yeah.
Okay,
That is pravritti marg.
Yeah, that is Pravritti Marg. Okay, we don't give up any relationship, any responsibilities, Mataji. Yeah, and also we want to make the spiritual advancement by attending satsangs and various other things, Mataji. Yeah.
So basically, living in world, you are
Living in
pursuing
world,
spiritual
yeah,
goals. That is
yeah.
pravritti marg. And what is
Yeah.
nivritti marg?
Hare Krishna, Madam. Okay, so both are required. Pravritti marg, because sadhana bhakti we have to use whatever we have in the service of the Lord. Keep a family relation. Everything is coming from Lord, and nothing we own on that. So pravritti, the service is required. Working is required. Nivritti, that means you reject, considering that this is obstacle towards devotional path. But pure nivritti marg also, like a sannyasis and all that, even though it is a easy or quick path, but it has its own downfall. So both are, if they are mixed, pravritti and nivritti, what needs to be rejected and what needs to be accepted. If that is done, the combination is an easy path for any common person to proceed on devotional service. That is the essence of what we'll be talking now here, dynamic.
Yeah. Correct. So what you finally came to is the point to the interrelationship of the paths. That is important on the sadhana bhakti path. The synergizing both the paths, that is important to pravritti is also important. Nivritti is also equally important. If only pravritti is there, nivritti is not there, then also the objective is not achieved. So the synergizing is important to achieve, because we have to live in the world, we have to grow along with the society. At the same time, we have to develop our own relationship with the Lord, and we have to see what is hindering this path. So for that, we have to include nivritti also. So we have to reject certain things. We have to detach ourselves, that are tempting, that are taking us away. So both should go hand in hand. Okay, so that is also, this is also called holistic development. The holistic development will happen when we empower both these, when we include both these. So for a spiritual aspirer, he should have a balance of pravritti as well as nivritti. Then another point is detachment through engagement. How does detachment happen through engagement? That is very perplexing.
You done?
Prabhu, should I
No.
stop here?
No, I don't know. No, go ahead, continue.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so
somebody wants to, I can
okay,
add
I'll
to
just
that.
quickly, yes, Prabhuji, you can add.
Okay, so detachment through engagement, that means, we have to realize that when we do something, we expect the result, but the result is not always on your favor. And we understand that part. So detach, that means you are responsible to the work, but don't really wait for the result to come the way you expect on your own way. When you one understand, again, Bhagavad Gita, the sloka is there. When you understand that, so reviewing the result, but you have responsibility to do that is the pravritti. That's basically a pravritti again, right? So
Yeah.
one comes to a understanding that I have responsibility to perform, and the result will come on its own, right? So
Yes.
that understanding makes detached by experience after some time.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we shouldn't be attached to the fruit of the action. Action is in our hands, but the fruit is not. So we shouldn't be attached to the fruit of the action. Okay, realizing Krishna in all aspects of life. Yes, our day-to-day activities, our each and every activity should be an offering to Krishna. And whatever happens, the realization that, he is behind it. It is something good, or Krishna has decided this thing to teach us something. So hence we should keep ourselves vigilant and reminding ourselves that everything is because of Krishna's mercy. So that is how you include or involve Lord Krishna in all the aspects and all the each and every episode of life. Okay, then applying Vaidhi Sadhana Bhakti, focus on intention. So the intention should be Sakam Bhakti nahi karni hai, wherein the focus is to do things that are pleasing to Lord Krishna. So that is how one serves. So when we offer each and every task, because we are humans, we can go wrong. Hence, it is important to offer our tasks to Krishna. So when we are including Krishna and seeing, we are aware that he is seeing, we would do less wrong activities, and whatever we do, that will also get purified. Then balance between action and contemplation. Very important here. Immersing oneself in pravritti, and devotee should also crave out time for nivritti. So I am doing all the worldly responsibilities and my duties, but at the same time, I have devoted this particular time only for developing my relationship with Lord Krishna. Like how a parent a man works throughout the whole day to support his family, but at the end of the day he comes home and spends some time with his family. So that is important. So that's how we are balancing like both our work and our relationship with the Lord. Then community engagement was discussed earlier, and practical examples like how one should, have his activities and participate in spiritual activities to enhance to reach the goal faster. So this was like to enrich sadhana bhakti, we have to include pravritti and nivritti marg. So here also some important points are given, that is mindful service. Very, very important. One has to, yeah, anybody would want to say? Because I'm trying to wrap it fast. So if anybody wants to, comment or something, please.
Yeah, so then I'll just start quickly. This is all next 7, 8 points are only one dynamic. That means it is not one activities. So we have to detail all our activities, Kimi Krishna, all that household activities that is coming from also response. That's the responsibility assigned to us. Look at that and see in everything that activity, detail that activity with a lot. That is what the essence of there. So whether you do, be mindful, be conscious of that one, balance your daily work, keeping something for Krishna. As long as we see that, like in a job we go, salary is the one focus, but to earn the salary we have to do a lot of things, maintain relation, do the jobs and all that. So if you keep the Krishna is at the center and do all other activities similarly, I think that is what it talks about,
Yes.
harmonizing pravritti and nivritti.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. But on this page, the most important point is this prayer. Whenever you do any task, just offer a prayer to Lord Krishna that may this particular action of mine delight you, Lord. It's a very practical implementation, important thing that we should implement in our life. And another thing is, whatever Prabhuji also mentioned, whatever capability or whatever hunar you have, you can serve Krishna in that way. Like if you're good at music, you can offer kirtan. If you're good at cooking, you can offer bhoga prasada. So whatever talent you have, you should offer, like you should worship Krishna using those. And then balance routine. You're offering your talent to Krishna. Okay, I'll mention that sometime later. I had remembered one pastime. We'll do it later because we have to wrap up for the recap. And then balance routine, how one has to balance the daily routine with his spiritual routine. Then community engagement. Very important point is gratitude and reflection. Without this, we will not grow. So every time something happens, we have to be. It is said that if you're not prasann chittana, Lord will not be attracted to you. So being a devotee, like mala karni hai, if we do it like an obligation, or if we are blaming God for our own karmas, so Lord will never be attracted to us. So best way is you practice bhakti with love and प्रसन्नचित होकर, मतलब खुश होकर आपको भक्ति प्रैक्टिस करनी है, एंड रेगुलरली कंसिस्टेंसी इज द की. ओनली देन वी विल अट्रैक्ट द ग्रेस ऑफ द लॉर्ड. And reflection, whatever we are doing in the day, like if we, unless and until we reflect our actions on that particular day, we might commit the same thing again. So hence reflection and gratitude we should practice in our daily life. And then family as a spiritual practice. So we should include our family in kirtanas and reading kathas, and especially with children, we can share Krishna's pastimes in the form of stories. So that's how we can bring, so wherever there is Krishna, there is joy. So the family also comes together and there will be a joyful environment. Further, pravritti, and that is engagement, and pravritti, that is engagement, and nivritti, detachment in Vaidhi sadhana bhakti. So mindfulness during work. So we have to come up with ideas that even during when we are working, we are associated with the Lord. So Prabhuji, like how we do our, we use certain tricks to remind ourselves, like we can learn mantras by writing it on our desks and bottles, and after every task we should just close our eyes for a minute and say, Lord, I offer this particular action to you. And every 5 minutes, we can also say, God, oh Lord, please help me that I don't forget you. Please see to it that I don't forget you. Even if we say this every 5-10 minutes, please see to it that I don't forget you. Then also you're getting connected. So in a way, we have to come up with certain things, and we have to center ourselves to Krishna, and we have to do certain actions so that we are always in connection with him. So we have to use that mindfulness when we are doing our work also. Then service oriented goals should be there, that like how Prabhuji explained, that being a scientist, what he was doing in his job is now he is utilizing those in Krishna Bhakti. So similarly, we can also use our, whatever we have learned, whatever our service is there, those qualities we can use, or those talents we can use to further enhance our bhakti and propagate Krishna consciousness. Cultivating detachment is like you do your action and you don't get attached to the results. So that is how you also, whatever is given to us, like the world is given to us by Krishna, and if we get ourselves attached to his world and not to him, like for example, there is gold, and from the gold the ornaments are made. But if we get attached only to that ornament of that, and if that ornaments is lost, so then we keep crying and crying, and we forget that it is made from gold. So we have to remember the gold, not the ornament. Similarly, our relationships are given to us by Lord. So if we, and they are, because we live in material world, we will lose the person or the objects that we have finally. So we have to get attached to the source, not to what we are getting. Like, okay, then regular sadhana and practice. Without that, we cannot progress. So the conclusion is that there is this very beautiful, like we have to practice transformative practices into the fabric of daily life. You elegantly balance pravritti, that is material, like we have to involve ourselves in the material world, and at the same time how in the nivritti manner, like we have to be spiritually, we have to follow spiritual renunciation so that we don't get attached to the material worlds or to the material actions. So once that synergy is there, then that is the stepping stone for our spiritual growth. And hence grahast ashram is also one of the best ashrams to practice bhakti. So this is the gist of all these points. Lord Krishna, as a Supreme Personality of Godhead, his divine pastimes, his bhakti is based on love, pure devotion. The true nature is that one has to be spiritually grounded, and only then grow in material life. Then Lord is also eager to meet his devotees more than the devotee, and bhakti is to be practiced in community and in family, and realization of Krishna consciousness, that we learned that how we have to do our chanting so that we become pure. And then we see the Pravritti Marga, that we have to have a holistic approach. We have to be detached through engagement. We have to realize Krishna in all aspects of life. We have to practice sadhana bhakti, but our focus should be very clear. We have to balance our action, and we have to contemplate. And practical examples are given how we can do that by community engagement. Mindful services should be done. Krishna consciousness should be practiced in daily life, in every part of the day, in every hour, in every minute. It should be practiced. That should be the goal. Balanced routine has to be there. Otherwise, it will not be possible. Consistency is important. Community engagement, gratitude and reflection, very important point, that we have to include it in our bhakti. Then how we have to spread Krishna consciousness in our family. How when we are working, we can still be Krishna conscious, and our service goals should be there. like how Prabhuji sets his goals and he works towards it. So that's how we have to do and cultivate detachment, and we have to do regular sadhana. So this was very, very important lesson that Prabhuji did last time. I hope we walk on that path. Thank you, Prabhuji. Over to you. Dandavat Pranam. I hope
Thank
I'm
you.
on time.
No wonder. Did you see that picture? Yamunamaya, she does pravritti and nivritti both. Can you, in 2 minutes, can you explain? 2-3 minutes? See that picture that you see that? See that picture?
Yes, Prabhuji, Yashoda Maya. So she is
yes.
also doing her job of
Daily course.
household
That-
chores
yeah, that's
at the
right.
same time. Yeah, her mind is on Krishna. So pravritti and nivritti.
And she's singing the glories of Krishna's daily pastimes. And while
Yeah.
she's still churning the buttermilk to get the butter out for him, So that's a very good example, Thank you, Mataji. Very
Thank you,
brilliantly done, brilliantly done. I'm very happy, and
Dandavat
rest of you also, good participation. Wonderful. Thank you very much. So let's get into. So that ended our 10th canto with that last chapter. So then next week onwards, um, first we will do these courses, some short courses. Then we'll resume our 11th canto. Okay. So let me share my screen with you. Okay, this is the course will start. Why I'm showing this slide? Because we are going to be reviewing some highlights of first in 2 lessons, the 6 philosophies, Shad Darshana. And then we will do 4 lessons on Upanishads, and those were the one which I took it from the article from His Holiness Suhatra Swami Maharaj, But I want to touch upon the scope of that presentation, why I did that, why I selected that, and that is very easily you can see in this particular slide that we'll be starting shortly after we finish this. So you see that our lesson 1 will be an overview of the Gaudiya Vaishnava prerequisites. So in the reason I'm doing the Sat Darshana and what the Upanishad teach, okay, is primarily connected with his object in mind. So not everything that we are going to be reviewing is with the equal relevance to what we want to do this series. The Shad Darshana, as we saw in a few weeks before, first 5 of the 6 Darshana, there are some built-in faults in it, not directly supporting bhakti process and so on like that. Upanishads, so that is the least bit connected, except the 6th Shad Darshana, that is Vedanta Sutra. And this says Gaudiya Bhasya, Govinda Bhasya that we'll be doing, it's all about that, so that Vedanta Sutra, this Govinda Bhasya is a commentary by Baladev Vidyabhushana, and that's a Gaudiya Vaishnava related commentary, as opposed to the other philosophies that is there, So, except for the last one of the 6 philosophies, Vedanta Sutra, that's also called Uttar Mimamsha. The word Mimamsha means inquiry. Okay. First, there is a Purva Mimamsha, and then there's a Uttar Mimamsha. Purva Mimamsha came before Uttar Mimamsha. So that is inquiry, and we will see what is inquiry is all about. So this slide I wanted to show you just this lesson 1, which is going to show you what are the prerequisites that we need to be prepared if we begin that. And that prerequisite, what we are going to be doing, is precisely tied up with this reviewing Shad Darshana and what the Upanishads say. Okay, so I'm not going to be going in details about the philosophies, but mainly to point out what is the main topic about that particular philosophy. What's the take-home point? So that is only the limited scope I have. Okay. So with that qualification, let's get into it. So we'll be doing 2 lessons to cover the central aspects of the 6 philosophies. Okay. So here, lesson 1, I'm giving you in this particular slide, first slides, these 2 overview of the 2 lessons, lesson 1 and lesson 2, and we'll divide more or less equally between these 6 philosophies. The first 3 is the Nyaya philosophy, Vaisheshika philosophy, and Sankhya philosophy. Some aspect that we did before. Okay, and remember, each of these philosophies can be in its own right. The whole course can be there. In fact, 2 semesters before in my doctoral study, we devoted a whole semester on these 6 philosophies. Academic studying, so much more in great depth. So you cannot do it in just 2 lessons, all the 6 philosophies, and still expect to do justice. Okay, the main purpose, the main reason, the main rationale why I'm doing this thing is to prepare ourselves as a prerequisite requirement in order to do this Govinda Bhasya. Okay, eventually that will be doing it. So here the introduction. First, what is the definition of Veda? Veda literally means in Sanskrit means knowledge. Okay, it's the knowledge about knowledge actually, basically. The definition of Veda, the nature of Vedic knowledge, and that is Srila Vyasadeva, the compiler of the Vedas. He's the one who did that. Educational structure, what is Veda teaches exactly how we should study any subject matter. Okay, so it helps you to develop a strategy learning any subject matter. Okay, and you'll see very clearly when I'm going to be doing these 6 kinds of philosophies, not the Shad Darshana, but the actual prerequisites that we'll be doing, beginning with the 2 atheistic philosophy. Here also there are few atheistic philosophies are there. 6, whether the 6 darshanas are closely tied up with the Vedas, they accept the authority of the Vedas. But there are 3 philosophies that we won't be discussing. They are atheistic philosophy. They don't accept the authority of the Vedas, and they don't even accept the principle of God being among ourselves. Okay, and that's good. One is Charvaka, means enjoy the best. This is all the life is all about. Once you die, everything is finished. That's their Charvaka philosophy. So enjoy the best, whatever you get. So here, this 6 darshana we are going to see, they do accept the authority of the Vedas, right? But there are subtle differences among them. So the compiler of the Vedas is Srila Vyasadeva. It shows educational structure, Vedic literature. Again, Vedic literature, you have Shrutis and Smrutis. Shruti do not change, they remain, and there is apaurushaya. It's not man-made. Okay, what Vyasa did he compiled. And Vyasa is, who is the Vyasa? He is the incarnation of Lord Narayana himself, empowered incarnations. So there's nothing of human thing, that human thinking is added in here. That came straight from the breathing of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And he first gave this Vedic knowledge to Lord Brahma in the form of the Chatushloki Bhagavatam. Okay. So there is Shruti. Shruti means to listen. Okay. And then there is Smruti. Smruti is to remember. The Puranas, so 4 Vedas and the Upanishads, they are a part of Shrutis. What are the Upanishads? Upanishads are the comments, basically comments of a great learned sages, okay, Maharshis, great rishis. They take a particular segment of a particular Shrutis and they expand on it. So that those are the Upanishads. And there are 108 Upanishads totally. Out of that, 10 are the major Upanishads. And Upanishads generally talk about, by and large, they talk about the impersonal aspect, and that is Brahman. Brahman is the main thing. With few exceptions, that's what the impersonal aspect means. But we are going to see what the Upanishads teach. Suhrat Maharaj, Suhrat Swami Maharaj is going to tell us that the Vedas do talk about Brahman, impersonal Brahman, but later on, in specific Upanishads are mentioned, then they go Brahman aspect expanded into the Paramatman aspect, supersonal aspect, and then ultimately leading to Bhagavan. That you will see when we cover this, what Upanishads teach us. So that's a gradual thing in that. So here also see that there are 6 schools of thought, Shad Darshana, but then there are Astika and Nastika. Astika means theistic, those who accept the authority of the Vedas, and the Nastic, they don't accept that. Okay, so the Sankhya Darshana actually is given by a atheistic person, and same name, Kapila. There's a Kapil Dev, one who is kind of Nastic, completely not accepting Vedas and so on like that. And then there is a devotee, who in fact, who is the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Kapil Dev, the 3rd canto in Bhagavatam that we study. So there are 2 aspects of this Sankhya Darshana we need to keep in mind. Okay, and then there is a historical aspect in the Shad Darshana also we'll see. So these are the points of emphasis that we will see in the 6 darshanas. Okay, then the path to know. So Veda itself is knowledge, but how to gain that knowledge, that path, the way to understand this knowledge, realize this knowledge, is also being given that. Okay, and so there is a spiritual discipline is there. So that is the general introduction I gave you, particularly from that aspect of it. This Maharaj wrote that article. So there's we'll begin with the Nyaya philosophy. Nyaya philosophy means what? It teaches us the philosophy of logic and reasoning. And I was attracted to it when I took that course as my doctoral dissertation, the whole semester long, because I was interested, because I will be writing a thesis. And in thesis, you need to learn how so it's called persuasive writing, in a very logical way of presenting your hypothesis. How do you defend it? That is called logic, deduction. And you have to cite relevant references. And when you cite, don't blindly cite. You need to analyze. When somebody says something, you need to analyze from the author's point of view, And then if you accept it, why you accept it. And if you have questions about that somebody else's viewpoint, then you need to really articulate what is your critique is based on that. So that is called nyaya. Okay, sorry. So that is called nyaya. So that's the reason why I was attracted when I took that whole semester long course. Then there's the Vaisheshika philosophy. Vaisheshika philosophy, everything it's a reductive way of doing things. Anything and everything that is what you see in material world is atom. In fact, the atom is defined when you divide something until the point that you no longer can divide. That is the atom. So it's basically atomic theory, the reductionist kind of approach. And there are critiques about that too also because of that. Okay. Then we'll be doing Sankhya philosophy, and that is non-theistic or atheistic dualism. That's the that Kapila, who is not a devotee, his viewpoint, and then side by side comparison, we will see the devotional aspect of it. Okay, the Lord Kapila Dev, who is the incarnation of the Supreme Lord, when he is instructing his mother Devahuti, that aspect, what are the differences, that I'll focus on that. Okay, so that is an overview. So there are 4 ways I'm going to talk about it. Okay, the first, I'll give you an overview of it without going into much details about the philosophy and everything. Basic aspect of it I'll give, but we are not going to go in detail because of limited time. Only 2 lessons we need to cover all 6 philosophies. So there's a core principles that we'll talk about according to that article written by Suhar Swami Maharaj. Then there are key aspect of it, core aspect of it, and key aspect of it. Okay, core is the one which you are going to focus on. That among the core aspect of it, what are the key aspect of it? So we are zeroing it down. What we need to really remember, in terms of always keeping that mind, we are doing this thing purely as a prerequisite when we be doing to understand the Vedanta Sutras, and especially Baladev Vidyabhushan's commentary is from a Vaishnava point of view, in the background of other philosophies. Okay, Ramanuja Acharya, Vishnu Swami Acharya, the 4 Vaishnava schools. In that context, we'll be doing that. So basically, all these two, and the 4 subsequent Upanishad lessons, we are going to be doing from that objective in the mind. Okay? So that keep it very clearly. Yeah. Then what is the significance? In just few sentences, we must know what is the significance of each of these philosophies. So these 4 aspects of it are the central point. Okay, so that will be in lesson 1, that is today. Hopefully, we'll try to accomplish that based on these 3 philosophies. And the other 3 philosophies we'll do tomorrow. And the 5th one comes yoga. This is the Patanjali yoga system. In fact, we did the whole course on that. If you remember, not too long ago, that also I took as a course in my doctoral thesis, and then I did the same course to all of you also. I offered that. So that also, yoga, the essential discipline for self-realization, how to control our mind. Practically, it's very important. The different kinds of waves, because mind is, as we discussed not too long ago, it's very difficult to control the mind. Why? Because there are many kinds of what we call vrittis. disturbances, waves in the mind that happens and that could affect our chanting Hare Krishna, serving the Lord, the mind keeps wandering around, takes away from what we want to do on a devotional platform. So those are called vrittis. And how do you control the vrittis? What kind of vrittis are there? There are, so here it is given there. So first four about that I've listed, that also we'll be doing. But then there are additional things. So Patanjali is saying this Ashtanga Yoga by 8 forms there. Basically, first controlling the mind. Mind is control, very, very important. Nirodha, Vritti's Nirodha means how to arrest those disturbing elements that mind always keeps on doing it. In the 11th canto, we'll be doing one particular lesson on this Bhikshu Gita. Bhikshu Gita is all about that. It's the mind is the ultimate cause that takes away from what. But the mind can also be a friend. If you control mind, then that could be a great friend also, you know. So that Bhikshu Gita, we learn about that. The 6th point we will elaborate is the sensation I just now referred to as what Patanjali refers as vrittis, the waves, disturbing waves of the mind. This is called vrittis. So there are 5 states of the mind that characterizes increasingly how we control the mind. Disturbed mind, one aspect of the mind is there, and controlled mind is the ultimate. That we'll go through the 5 aspects of mental control, mind situation. So these are very, very practically important. Okay. But again, this particular lesson, my objective is to really connect with the prerequisites we'll be doing to understand the Vedanta Sutras from a devotional point of view. So 5 states of mind, what are its applications? Application means how it disturbs. When you want to solve something, you need to identify. When you want to defeat an enemy, you need to first understand the psychology. When I was a chess player, that understand the psychology of your opponent is very, very critically important. You want to win the game. So here also same thing. You need to win that mind, control that mind. So you must know what is the nature, how the mind operates. That you need to understand. Okay. So focusing on the mind control, how to modify disturbing mind to have him as your friend. Then the 8th element, surrendering unto the supreme controller. Ishvara, in fact, that is one of the sutra. Basically, they are sutras, okay? Yoga sutras, Patanjali's Yoga sutras. One of them, what Patanjali talks about, that many people do not understand. Many people misinterpret the yogas, Ashtanga Yoga. It is not just for controlling the mind so that the health benefits come. No, ultimately, yoga means to link with the Supreme. And Supreme is defined, very well defined. Ishvara Pranidhana. How do you surrender unto the lotus feet of Ishvara? Ishvara is the Supreme Controller. And he is beyond time and space. So Patanjali Rishi leaves no doubt what he's talking about, the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a person he's talking about. But in a subtle way, he presents that. The way he characterizes that Ishvara, it leaves no doubt whatsoever that he's talking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead who is beyond time and space. So that is also his words, his own words, Patanjali's own words, he called that as a Vishesha Purusha, unique, specialized Purusha. Okay. So that aspect of the yoga will focus on that. Tomorrow we are talking about. And then the sixth philosophy is this called Purva Mimamsha, or also it's called Karma Mimamsha, that was done by Srila Vyasadev's disciple Gemini Rishi. What he said, karma means you do good karma according to what the Vedas says, Vedic injunctions. It's called karma, as distinguished by vikarma. If you go against Vedic injunction, that's called vikarma. Okay. Nonetheless, good reaction and bad reaction. One which is without any reaction is called akarma. If you work for the Lord, that's called akarma. Okay. So here he is talking about follow the Vedic injunction, but be satisfied. And Vedic injunction, if you follow, then you get to not only enjoy in this world, but you also get to enjoy in the heavenly planets. So that was the sole objective of Gemini Rishi. So that's called Purva Mimamsha. So as above, all these elements we'll be doing, focus on the this ritual-based duty in doing karmas, ritualistic karmas, and follow the dharma, obviously, righteousness, and the science of mantra we'll be learning, the concept of the devas, the demigods, devas and devis, goddesses, and finally the concept of the Atman, what is soul, and that is relevant when we want to study Vedanta Sutras. Okay, so we'll spend a little bit time about what that Karma Mimamsa says about the concept of the Atman. Then the last but not least, which is the directly relevant to what we are talking about, the only Darshana that is directly relevant to us is this Uttar Mimamsa or Vedanta Sutras. Vedanta. Okay. Now, the Vedanta being interpreted by the people who are atheist, they're not atheistic, they're theistic, but completely from monism view of it, Shankaracharya point of view. Okay. So that aspect is defeated by Srila Baladev Vidyabhushana in his Govinda Bhasya commentary. In fact, Govinda Bhasya's name, he does not call his own commentary even. Lord Govindji in Jaipur temple, he himself came into his mind, came into his in a dream, and he is the one who dictated entire commentary. So nobody could defeat him, because Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya was criticized by Ramanandis that all the other acharyas, Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, so all four sampradayas coming from Sri Sampradaya, Lakshmi Devi, that is Ramanuja Acharya, then Vishnu Swami coming from there, Rudra Sampradaya, then there is a Kumar Sampradaya, there is Vishnu Swami. Ultimately, he is the starter, founder, but then it was further propagated by Vallabhacharya, which is Pushti Marga. And then finally, the Acharya, that's part of our Gaudiya Vaishnava, is also there. And that is this Madhvacharya. So and that is originated from Lord Brahma. So ours is called Brahma Madhva Govinda, Madhva Govinda discipline is called actually. Gaudiya, Madhva, Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. Okay, so that is the overall. So that is Vedanta Sutra, Uttar Mimamsa is, we'll be doing that. Structure and diverse schools of Vedanta philosophy. Again, that's directly relevant. We'll be actually going to significantly enlarge, discuss great detail, and that is the most learning experience you will find. And I spent great deal of effort made that in doing those PowerPoints that you will see. Okay, I gave you some taste of that, shared some of the slides with you. Okay. The nature of God, uh, personal versus impersonal aspect of it, connection between God and the Atman, okay, liberation and the nature of reality, and finally critique of Shad Darshana. That sixth Darshana we are talking about, we will see what are the negative elements of that in one of the classes that we talked about it, but we'll revisit in this last Darshana. So that's an overview of it, okay? So these two lessons I will conduct with those points in my mind. To what degree it will help us to gain knowledge, the prerequisite knowledge for us to eventually do Govinda Bhasya. So let's get into lesson 1. So first, the definition of Veda. The term Veda translates, it literally means knowledge. Ved is the verb to understand. That's called knowledge. But its significance in ancient Bharatavarsha, at that time, even up to the point of Yudhishthira Maharaj, the whole earth was just one Bharatvarsha, it was called, It's a greater India. Transcends the modern understanding of science. What really science means, actually, So Vedic knowledge embodies profound insights that go well beyond mere physical observation, focusing instead on eternal truth and the journey of spiritual evolution. Each and every word used here, they carry deep meaning. Okay. So that is how we should understand Veda as such. Vedic revelation comes from these points of view. Second point, nature of Vedic knowledge. For you to remember, it's apaurushaya, Shrutis, that is not of any human mind, mental addition, is coming straight from God, from Krishna, as it is in the disciplic succession all the way, okay? Lord Garbhodaksha Vishnu gave it to Lord Brahma, Brahma gave it to Narada, Narada gave it to Srila Vyasadeva, okay? There is and Srila Vyasadeva, of course, through his son, Sukadeva Goswami, gave it to Parishit Maharaj, and that's how the Srimad Bhagavatam came into existence. And we are being greatly fortunate that the gift of the Lord in the Bhagavatam, Krishna himself is coming there. The compilation of the Vedas. So approximately about 5,000 years, Srila Vyasadeva, at that time only one Veda was the Atharva Veda, for the easy understanding of the coming generation in Kali Yuga, when our intelligence is going to be very limited lifespan. So for us to understand, and the third point, Vedas originally, actually, it was meant for only Brahmanas, those who are in the mode of goodness. Okay. Then to some extent, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, but Shudras are not allowed. Shudra and women not allowed to study Vedas. So in order to teach them, Srila Vyasadeva compiled Bhagavatam, actually, as advised by Narad Muni, that you see in the 6th chapter, the first canto of Bhagavatam, the story. So how this compilation of Vedas came about, and Vyasa again, he is the incarnation of Lord Narayana himself. Okay? The scholarly compiled the immense reservoir of knowledge into the sacred Sanskrit text known as the Vedas. The 4 Vedas, the 108 Upanishads came about that. The commentary on the Vedas is the Upanishads. And then actual historical examples, that's what the Puranas are there. Lord's different incarnations, so many great devotees, the kings, all these things in Puranas. There are 10 subject matter of each Puranas, Mahapuranas. The educational structure, how it is devised. So first the 4 Varnas, Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Shudra. Shudras are meant to serve the upper 3 classes, So as it says, the study of Veda was a privilege reserved for the Brahmanas, supported by meticulously structured 4-tier education system. And this was taught in a Gurukula system. A self-realized Rishi is there, he's teaching to his disciples. That's how, So, and there are 4 ashramas, Brahmacharya ashrama, then Grihastha ashrama, then Vanaprastha ashrama, and then finally Sannyasa ashrama. So this is how the Vedic knowledge is transmitted to the rest of the society, human society. The Vedic literature, again, that is already been discussed, so I won't spend much time. So there are 6 schools of thought. Okay, and that also I already, in the introduction, I mentioned what are those 6 schools. Okay, then there is the Astika nature and Nastika, theistic and atheistic. Either for Vedas, either for the authority of the Vedas or against the authority of the Vedas. The Shad Darshana are categorized as Astika. And 3, they're out of the 6, beyond 6, Charvaka is one aspect of it. So that is called atheistic. They don't accept the authority of the Vedas. The same way when we are going to do this 6 schools, we'll begin with Jainism, and then we'll do Buddhism. So this Jainism and Buddhism is atheistic. They totally rejected the authority of the Vedas, okay, and no aspect of even the Supreme Lord. But then the 4 Vaishnava Acharyas, they present their philosophies. Ramanuja Acharya, that's coming from Sri Sampradaya. The other 3 coming gradually, coming from Sri Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, Kumar Sampradaya, and one more is there. So we'll see that. So this is what I'm trying to give you an overview of it before we'll go internally, as it is how directly relevant to what we want to do it. Okay, relevance to what we want to study, the prerequisite knowledge that is required to appreciate the Vedanta Sutras. Okay, so historical context. This introduction sheds light. So whatever I've introduced so much, almost I've spent about 30 minutes now, So this introduction, now in the next 30 minutes, I'll give you the gist of the first 3 of the darshanas. So this introduction sheds light on the decline of Vedic scholarship due to the ascendance of Buddhism. So this, I told you that Jainism and Buddhism, they are the atheistic philosophy, means against the Vedic authority, against any principles of God being there. They reject the existence of God. A subsequent resurgence through Advaita Vedantis, then came Shankaracharya, And there again, there's called evolution. At the time Lord Brahma came, the Vedic principles were misinterpreted. Animal killing was rampant, and that Lord Buddha didn't like that. In fact, in Bhagavatam also is there. Narad Muni actually teaches that to one of the king. So here, to defeat that misinterpretation of the Vedas, killing animals, innocent animals, Buddha rejected the authority of the Vedas. That was his sole reason. But look at what happened. One end of the spectrum to another end. Then the whole India becomes so engrossed in Buddhism, which denies the authority of the Vedas, denies that there is a supreme personality, God exists. It went to that extreme. That's when Shankaracharya came to defeat Buddhism and bring back the authority of the Vedas. He came. But then he talked about the impersonal aspect of it. Advaita, non-dualism. Dualism means two aspects of it, There's a Atman, then there is a Paramatman. He did not distinguish between the two. So we'll go in the history when we do this this aspect of it. So this is in the historical aspect, how these philosophies are evolved. That's what is described. Point number 9, path to knowledge. How do you get to learn? What is the right path and what is the wrong path? That also says the discourse stresses the shift from theoretical knowledge, this jnana, and then realized knowledge, that's vijnana. Jnana is important, but even more important is the realized knowledge. Okay, so underscoring the critical role of self-realized teachers. That's where the acharyas come into play. Acharyas tell us what is the right way to understand the Vedic knowledge. Vedic knowledge in the Vedas and Shrutis, it's in Sanskrit. The language Sanskrit is such that it can be interpreted in multiple ways. How you break up the complex words, sandhi, samasa, sandhi, completely 180-degree opposite meanings can be there. So it's a context driven. And that explanation, context driven interpretation, can only be given by self realized acharyas. So you have to follow right acharyas. 10th point, spiritual discipline. The introduction includes, with a powerful assertion, genuine exploration of spirituality demands unwavering commitment to spiritual discipline. So you need to follow a particular discipline if you really want to understand the right way Vedic knowledge. And thus Gurukul system, that discipline was enforced. And the teachings imparted by the acharyas. Authentic inquiry required a dedication. Why I keep pressing the dedication? When I invited some of you to participate, certain degree of dedication I was expecting. And unfortunately, I didn't see that dedication, many of you, 6 of the 9 lessons, I'm doing it. The other 3 by Sharad Prabhuji, Archana Mataji, and the exceptional case is Samata Mataji, with her great dedication that I really appreciate so much. How much she struggles, she wants to learn. So I selected that. And I invited others, but they don't have 100% dedication. That's what this learning and teaching this courses requires, demands that. I've conducted some 47 courses, right, in the last 2 decades. I've never experienced this much difficulty in understanding Vedanta Sutras. So it requires great deal of dedication, sacrifice, and so on like that. So much amount of time you need to spend to understand that. And you will see in my PowerPoints, you will immediately see to what degree and extent my time and efforts were spent. At the completion of it, I would like you to tell me that whether you get that sense or not. Okay, so we'll begin with the Nyaya philosophy. So we'll touch upon the basics, not going in much greater detail about that. The basic, what is the take-home point of each of these three philosophies, three darshanas. Darshana literally means philosophy. So first one is this Nyaya philosophy. It was propounded by Gautama Rishi, also known as Akshapada. So what is the key text? Or many of these darshana are given in sutras. And you know, sutras means it's just in few words, but very, very deep meaning is packed into just 4 or 5 words, 3 or 4 words mostly. You know? So you need a very self-realized teacher to make us understand that. So pivotal work that lays the groundwork for the principle of logic and epistemology. What is epistemology? How a particular word came into existence. That is called epistemology. Okay. So, and there's a logic. How logically you need to understand and what way this logic dictates that you need to understand. That's what being taught in this Nyaya philosophy. And that is what I was interested because I wanted to write my dissertation on a very, very debatable issue. And I anticipate severe criticism both from the devotee community as well as from scientific community. They don't see eye to eye each other, you know. So I anticipated that. And that's why I learned this Nyaya philosophy, how to write persuasively, to bring out your point forcefully, but logically, based on authority. So how do you focus that? Establishing the conditions for attaining accurate knowledge. What are the conditions? What are the pramanas, evidence that you need to present to make your case? That is how your focus ought to be there. And the same thing, whatever I learned in this Nyaya philosophy, I exactly applied in preparing my PowerPoints for the series of lessons that we'll be doing in this prerequisites in 10 lessons. You will see that my approach, accurate knowledge, that you want to give it in a persuasive manner, logically, with evidence. Evidence means pramanas, proofs. That's how we need to do that. So there are certain methodological approaches are there that this Nyaya philosophy teaches us. What are the core principles of Nyaya philosophy? The goal, what is the goal? The ultimate aspiration of the Nyaya philosophy is the liberation, moksha. That's the goal. Okay? That arises through the acquisition of valid knowledge. If you absorb the Vedic knowledge and its right interpretation and right application, then you reap the fruit of it. You know? And what is the methodology? It champions the systematic reasoning and rigorous logical analysis to effectively distinguish between valid and invalid forms of knowledge. So you need to distinguish, you need to understand what is the right way of interpreting it and what is the wrong way of interpreting it. You need to detect that. And there's a technique that Nyaya philosophy teaches us. The 4 independent sources of knowledge. So that is called pramanas. First, pratyaksha pramana. That means you yourself have experienced that or not. Pratyaksha. Aksha means the eyes. Have you seen, have you heard yourself like that? That's called pratyaksha parina. But the human senses are not perfect. So that even pratyaksha pramana is not that valid. It has certain applicability, to a point, okay? But don't take it as a valid gospel truth. Then there is an anumana. Based on certain reality, can you make a certain anuman? Can you make a certain deduction? If there's a fire, how can you tell there's a fire that you cannot see yourself? Let's say in the mountain, there might be fire. So you several miles away from that mountain, if you see a smoke, then you deduce if there's a smoke, there must be a fire. That's called anumana, inference. Okay? Then you may also need to give certain analogies. You give some examples that a listener, your audience, is quite familiar with it. Then that point immediately he grasps, he will understand the philosophy better if you give the analogy. In fact, one of the things, the analogy Maharaj gives, if there is if this is particularly in the Satkaryavada, the cause and effect. Effect is already embedded within the cause, okay? And if it's not, then it's not, right? So if you want to expect a green color in a blue color, you're not going to get it, because that the essence of green color is not there in the blue color. So that kind of right kind of analogy, you give it to a person who is your listener, they can immediately correlate with his daily life. So that's called, you give a particular upamana. Sanskrit is what is called upamana, or analogy, drawing conclusions by recognizing similarities. But that also has the limitations. Ultimately, you want to give a testimony of pramana that is well proved its authenticity, and that is called Shabda Pramana, Vedas. Nobody will question that. So that is the ultimate pramana, Shabda Pramana. There are 16 essential categories of reality, which includes pramana. So there are 16 kinds of proofs. I've given just 3 or 4 only, but there are totally 16 kinds. Pramana, prameya, samshaya, their doubts are created. I remember many times I asked many of you that don't just sit there. When you listen to something, immediately questions should pop up in your mind, and you should be bold enough to ask that questions. Questions are not stupid. The answers could be stupid, And you learn more by asking questions. Bhagavatam is nothing but questions and answers, Pravajana, you need to know exactly what is your goal, objective. Then Nirnaya, then you make a decision, a very educated decision, when you don't have 100% of the information that you need. And life is all about that. You'll never get 100% of information to make a right decision. And you are at the cross point, whether you should turn left, or you should turn right, or should keep going. How do you decide that? Nirnaya. That's called educated decision. That also teaches you, this Nyaya philosophy, how to make that. Focus on logic and epistemology. Nyaya is fundamentally dedicated to exploring the nature, sources, and validity of knowledge, establishing itself a cornerstone of logical inquiry. Key concept, doubts. Doubts are natural. Arjuna had many doubts, and Krishna encouraged him to bring out those doubts, so could make me understand that. So to you also, all of you, if doubt arises, something what I say or something I quote in the Shastra, and if you are not sure, feel free to voice your doubt. Doubt must be resolved. Parikshit Maharaj had many doubts. Sukadeva Goswami encouraged him to ask questions. And then anything and everything, when you attempt, there must be a definitive goal, what you want to achieve, what you want to establish, that ought to be there. Goal-oriented approach, this is called. logical argumentation, not for the sake of we make argument, but logically for the purpose of understanding, then that's a valid way of asking, but in a submissive manner, not challenging. And significant foundation for critical thinking, that's called Nyaya. Nyaya philosophy teaches us how to critically think, how to, when you can critically think, you can read critically, you can write critically. Integration with other schools. So the principles of Nyaya harmoniously interweave with those of other philosophical traditions. You can, many of these Shad Darshana philosophies, they are interrelated to each other, Okay. So now this is the Vaisheshika philosophy, which is the profound exploration of Vedic atomic theory. So this atomic theory was not just discovered in the recent way. It was, this was known even long back by our rishis. The founder is Granda Rishi, who is the founder, and there are also sutras are there, Vaisheshika sutras, and focus them delves into the essence of substance. Anything and everything you boil down to atoms. That is a positive aspect is there, and there's the negative aspect. You cannot by a reductive approach, you cannot understand everything. You make it that way. That was the main criticism of this philosophy. So Vaisheshika philosophy aspires to meticulously categorize and comprehend the elements of reality. Reality means the supreme, metaphysics. You cannot reduce it like that. Ultimately guiding individuals toward liberation, moksha. Methodology, this philosophy employs systematic clarification of reality in a distinct categories. So categorize the subject matter, you want to understand that. Okay, so this again goes nitty-gritty details about the atomic theory, which I don't see any relevance to what we want to do. So I'm going to bypass that. If you have time, you can study this thing. And okay, this is we should get the conclusion. Okay, so the key concept of atomic theory that the universe is composed of eternal atoms. Now see the material things. We all understand that it is a beginning and the end, right? But if you all the material elements you boil down comes to the atom, and atoms are called eternals. Parmanu. Why it is so? You know that? What is the definition of, what is the understanding of Vishnu? Vishnu means enter, Anu means atom. So it is the eternality of the atom is because Lord Vishnu is there in every atom of the universe. Not just the atom by itself is eternal, but because Vishnu being there, that's why. The energy needed for the electrons to orbit around the central nucleus of protons and neutrons, that energy of the electrons is coming because Lord Vishnu resides there. And that is the reason, in my viewpoint, the eternity could be there because of that. Differentiate between these eternal atoms and the transient combination to them, that's the physical elements. Then the atoms combine forms molecules, right? And molecules can disintegrate or combine. So then there's a finite time is there. In fact, time is defined how 2 or 3 atoms combine. The smallest unit of time is the whole Bhagavatam tells you about how the time is calculated. So combination of the time, that's where the beginning and the end is created right there. Prakriti, material nature. So you talked about the soul, atoms, Atma. Then you talked about a supreme Lord, Paramatman, Then now we talk about Prakriti also, material nature. But the consciousness lies in that Atman being there, or Paramatma being there. Prakriti has no consciousness. That you learn in Sankhya Yoga. Consider the ultimate cause of the universe, eternal and all-pervading, from which every form of existence emanates. So there are gunas, three gunas, sattva guna, rajaguna, and tamaguna, describe the three fundamental qualities that characterize Prakriti, and that's a built-in character is there, and they are not external; they are internal. These three gunas. Many times I wonder about that. When I was writing my thesis, when I've been writing my thesis, this was relevant to my subject. How, because this gunas dictates the very nature of the person, and bhakti is a transformative nature. How bhakti can help you to change the very nature, very prakriti that you might have inherited. That's the power of bhakti. So how does bhakti changes from the simply hearing and listening Krishna Katha chanting? How does it change? What happens? The Sattva comes from this combination of this Rajaguna and Tamaguna. How does it happen? That is the one I'm racking my mind all the time. How the bhoga offered to the Lord, same food, but there is a tremendous potentiality of changing the very nature is involved. If you offer prasadam, how the partaking prasadam, Krishna prasadam, how that changes a person's very nature, that is the active thinking going on in my mind. Significant systematically understanding the reality. So, comprehensive framework for intricate physical and metaphysical structure of activity. So this is to some degree it's relevant to me, particularly to understand how the Prakriti operates when there is a Purusha element comes into play, how that consciousness affects the very jada nature of Prakriti. Chetana is a consciousness. Jada means without consciousness. How when that Chetana enters, the jada nature comes into alive. That is the curiosity. Remember, being a scientist, you have to have a curiosity. What lies the other end of the hill that you cannot see, but you need to guess, an educated guess based on available evidence. That's all science is all about. Interconnected philosophies, path to liberation. How do you solve the very issue of this material world, material existence? How can you solve it? How does bhakti process transforms it and releases from the shackles of material existence? These are the fundamental questions for the research. And you don't make mental speculation, because that is not permitted, Prabhupada said. But within the framework of scriptures, Guru, Sadhu, and Shastra, you can make deductions. You can develop theories. You can develop hypotheses. And that could be proven or misproven, disproved. You must come up with that. How can you prove what I'm proposing? How can you disprove? There must be room for that. That is the way it's going to define where your hypothesis, where your theory is fundamentally properly grounded. That's how your mind ought to operate. And Shastra teaches us. That's what the Nyaya philosophy, I was interested in that. Okay, now Sankhya philosophy. So I'm going to wrap up in just a few minutes because I'm not going to go into the different intricacies of its philosophy. Okay, it's a non-theistic dualism. As I told you, that Sankhya philosophy is taught by the Supreme Lord himself, Kapila Muni, but it's also been taught, and all this thing is by this atheistic guy, non-devotee. Nauriya founded the traditionally attributed to sage Kapila, but that is not the same sage Kapila, but the atheistic guy. So Sankhya, there is a good sutras are there. Sankhya Karika, that's a bhashya, commentaries. And this Ishvara Krishna is the name of the guy. Actually, he did that. This is the earliest surviving text that clearly articulates Sankhya philosophy. Sankhya is marked by two fundamental constituents: Purusha, Prakriti. So remember, I gave you the chart also, how the Sankhya philosophy is there. There's a Purusha, then there's a Prakriti. And we know that Purusha is Mahavishnu, throws a glance into Prakriti, where the Prakriti first is Pradhana. Pradhana means the modes are not yet activated. When he injects through this glance, the living beings from previous cycle who are not purified enough, not self-realize them, along with their karmas, they are put in the womb of the Prakriti, and then Pradhana becomes Mahat Tattva. Modes are fluxed. Okay, then comes the formation of this ahankara. Okay, and ahankara expressed in sattva-guna, rajoguna, tamaguna. That's how comes sattva-guna means comes manobuddhi ahankara. Then rajoguna comes this senses, and so the sense means Gyanendriya and Karmendriya, and then ahankara expressed in the mode of ignorance. That's where the Pancha Mahabhutas form, and then the sense objects also created. So that is how the whole Purusha and Prakriti in combination brings about that. Purusha is the consciousness principle, and the devoid of consciousness is the Prakriti. But Purusha is always required. Now, this atheist person, he does not accept Supreme Being. So in his mind, the Purusha is the person himself. No. That's the drawback. So Purusha Prakriti, how interconnects, that's what the Sankhya philosophy, and that's where the 24 elements come into existence. So the guna, the 24 elements, is the end result, evolutionary, coming from the Sankhya Yoga. A dualism, as its core, Sankhya asserts the existence of both Purusha and Prakriti, and exclusion of God. See, the exclusion means devoid of godly principle. That's because that Kapila is an atheistic person. So theory of causation, what is the cause? So again, this is we well dealt with that. Satkaryavada, where the effect is buried, embedded. The cause is embedded in the cause. Effect is embedded in the cause. Just like milk and yogurt. Okay. Then there's Asat Karyavada. Then there's Parinamvada, which is the Vaishnava interpretation of that. All these things. So we are not going to go in detail about that. This slide is all about that. The argument supporting Parinamvada. That is the Vaishnava way of interpreting it. So I'm not going to go with that. Sankhya is key concept. Prakriti, the unconscious principle. Prakriti is unconscious. Purusha is the conscious. And then these three gunas: sattva-guna, rajoguna, tamaguna, and how this combination of the ahankara in three different modes, all these 24 elements develop. That is what all Sankhya philosophy is all about. That Sankhya, the Sanskrit word Sankhya literally means number. Okay, so there are 24 elements, and some people add 25th also. 25th element is the time. So the time element is introduced towards the very end. concept of liberation. There's two kinds of liberation, Jivan Mukti and Videha Mukti. Jivan Mukti means while the person still has this material body, he can be liberated. Okay, just like lotus. It's in the mud, but muddy water does not touch to the lotus, that's Jivan Mukti. Videha Mukti means when he drops this material body and becomes liberated, that's called Videha. Videha means one without this material body. Conclusion, interconnectedness. Sankhya philosophy underscores the dynamic relationship between Purusha and Prakriti. Both are required. Philosophical significance. Sankhya philosophy offers profound insights into the very nature of existence, urging individuals to seek self-discovery and clarity amidst the complexity of the universe. So how the universe operates, the Sankhya philosophy attempts to understand that. So this atheist philosophy thinks universe came to existence and operates is all because of the interaction of these molecules, atoms, and so on like that. But that's not. We know that the cosmic creation, every step of the way, Supersoul was involved. The Supreme Personality required at the very end, till the very end. Hare Bol, Hare Krishna. Okay, it's open for discussion. Feel free to ask questions.
Krishna Prabhuji.
So I discuss all this from the very defined perspective, okay? Very defined objective.
So,
yeah, go ahead,
Prabhuji,
Radhavina.
yeah. Yeah, it's a very difficult. You tried to give highlight relevant to us. You did very. I just because I am having one small problem with the Visheshika philosophy. Because other
Yeah.
philosophy gradually like karma mimamsa, you can understand karma. Going to the heaven and all other things we can understand. But Visheshika, boiling down to atom, how it fails, that portion, Prabhuji, I'm not able to understand. So everything is narrowed down to the atom, and how it fails
because
over here.
he's talking about Prakriti, how the Prakriti operates. So Prakriti is material nature. Material nature reduces everything to atom. And the combination of atom itself is eternal. But when atoms combine to forming a molecule, then the time elements comes into play. So that's how the way the universe operates is being explained by this philosophy of this reducing the atoms, how the atoms combine and everything. That's the reason this atomic theory is called.
So
So
you
he
are
reduces everything the simplest term.
True, understand you, and then you understand. Once you
Just
boil
like
down.
modern science. Modern science also explains all this theory, everything based on atomic theory, right?
Correct.
Everything.
Yeah. So what you say that means that atom is there, they combine, earth is formed or the Prakriti is formed, but the time element is required. So they are not seeing that time element. That is what we are. That's where the
according
fallacy.
to Bhagavatam, time. If you see the one, I will give the reference also in Bhagavatam is there. How the smallest amount of degree of time and the largest. All this thing is based on the how two atoms combine or three atoms combine. There's the smallest amount of time, and so on like that. So the whole time element comes into play there, and you can think time in various different ways, like the rotation of the Earth on around its axis. That's also defined. Time is also defined that way, right? On that basis, we said the 24 hours because it takes about. Actually, it's not exactly 24 hours, 23 hours and something. The Earth takes full turn, and then the whole Earth turning around its axis and then orbits around the Sun. That's called year. It takes a year, right?
Year.
And then the whole whole solar system also moves around. It's not so static in the galaxy. And the whole galaxy also moves around a central point in the entire
Full stop.
universe. So
Yeah, full
everything is
stop.
moving. So that the time element is there in there.
Okay, so
And then,
just boiled. Yeah,
and Vedas said there is cyclic way of creation, maintenance, and
yeah,
end.
destruction. Yeah. So
So
they
this
are
Vishweshwara
missing.
theory. Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, go ahead.
So they miss that. They just boiling down to the granule doesn't help, but because we have to see in material world,
No,
we have to
there is
see
a
how
main criticism. There is a main
yes,
criticism.
that's the main. Thank you. That's what I understood. Thank you,
That's
Prabhu.
the main criticism of that theory. Because you cannot explain the subtle elements, mind, feelings. They are subtle material elements, right? Subtle body. But how on the base, there are no atoms in that.
No items. True.
And how mind operates, nobody knows. Nobody knows.
Mhm.
So you cannot explain by on an atomic theory how the mind operates, how the feelings comes into play.
Yeah, but Prabhuji, we also see that in a Bhagavatam, one place I don't know where, all the six philosophies basically they came into existing when in a Satyuga. They came at that time. There was no other thing. That's what we understand. So these people came
No, it is
together. They thought
different philosophers. They propose that the names of those rishis also given,
true.
right?
Yeah, they came into existence only in Satyuga,
Yeah,
right? At that time, because there's nothing much available, and they
yeah.
interpreted Vedas the way they thought it. It's appropriate. But as he gradually, Treta Yuga, Dwapar Yuga, Vyasdeva comes at the end of Treta Yuga, and then he gives the entire philosophy of what we see. So
So
then
no,
it
but
brings
the Gemini Rishi and all this came there all in the end of Dwapar Yuga, right?
okay.
Gemini Rishi was in Dwapar
Hmm.
Yuga. Vyasa himself also in Dwapar Yuga, right?
Yeah, but Vyasdev
No,
brought
Vyasa is of course he's in Narayana, so he's
he
beyond
brought
that.
all the he brought the bhakti and all other details there. Vyasdev,
But Gemini
at
Rishi
the
was
end of
not
the
this. Gemini
he was
Rishi's
not there. Hmm.
Purvamimamsa is not it's not at all bhakti based.
Okay. Yeah, not at all bhakti based. True.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
Prabhuji.
they came much later, Dwapar Yuga.
Yeah, so my understanding was not correct. So that Karma Mimamsa and all those things they happen also in Dwapar Yuga, not in Sat
Yeah,
Yuga. Because somewhere
yes.
the Srila Prabhupada's one of the purport I need to go and he said that they were developed only in maybe in 11th canto or somewhere. I'm not sure.
Check your
But
reference, but to my
I will
understanding,
check
this Gemini Rishis came into the Dwapar Yuga, I think.
Dwapar Yuga. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other question point? Okay, Sharad Prabhuji, you want to get the ball rolling so the others can think about it, something, and then they may ask.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hardly any more thing I can add, but I'll just
Or
summarize.
you want to elaborate what Sir Radhavinath Prabhuji is raising that point? He said all this philosophy came into Satya Yuga. I don't necessarily agree with that.
No. It can rather the confluence of Dwapar Yuga and Kali Yuga.
Yeah,
What happens in Satya Yuga? There is only one Veda, that is the Yajur Veda. By the
yeah.
time we come to Kali
The-
Yuga, because of our intelligence, because of the atmosphere, all these things, what he does, he divides it into four parts. That's how he is known as Vyasa. He is just compiling, and he also compiles the histories, that is Mahabharata, and also the Puranas. That's what he does in every Kali Yuga, rather Dwapar and Kali Yuga. And why he does this? Because this is required for the people like us. In Satya Yuga, it was possible for the people to memorize everything. Now we cannot even memorize one verse of any scripture. So that is what is our state. So that's why they have been made simplified. And for the and those who are not authorized to study the Vedas, he has compiled the Puranas that they can be read, including the Bhagavat Mahapurana. They can be read by anybody and everybody. So that is what.
Bhagavad Purana also, he had to redo it. When Narad Muni
Yes.
came, he had already composed it, but he said that you did not explain the bhakti towards the Lord Krishna adequately enough.
Yes.
Remember the Bhagavatam story
Yes.
completely described. So he had to redo that Bhagavatam.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
Prabhuji, yeah, just small there. My understanding, because again, maybe I know that's what I'm bringing. The 17 Vedas was written by then, and when the Srimad Bhagavatam was not brought the way it is there, and that is why the 18th Purana, that is the Srimad Bhagavatam, was written after Narad Muni's interaction.
No,
Is
no,
that
all
correct?
18 Puranas were created, my reading, my study, and
Okay.
he had to redo that Bhagavatam actually.
Okay, Prabhuji.
then
Okay,
Radhavinath Prabhuji was talking about time. Now we say when the time starts in the beginning of creation, and this beginning of creation it happens many times. And in our lifetimes also, in earlier lifetimes, we must have gone through so many the creations. Now, how it starts when Mahavishnu he glances on Prakriti, the time starts.
time
And,
elements, he introduces time element right at that point.
and before that, there was no time. So that is there, and in science also this is explained very very nicely by various scientists in various books. I have also read them. When today what we studied the Astika and Nastika philosophies, the Shastras or the concepts. Now, if somebody asks us, who is a Hindu? Now, our answer should be anybody who believes in the Vedas, he is a Hindu. Now, it is a misnomer. Many people say the Hindu word has been coined by somebody else and all that. That is not correct. The word Hindu is there in the Vedas. There should be no doubt about it. Okay. Then we studied about this Nyaya, like all these the Sardarsanas, in their own turn, they present a more developed and comprehensive explanation of the various aspects of the Vedic knowledge. Nyaya, it sets up the philosophical rules, the debates, and identifies the basic subject that is the physical world, the soul, the God, and finally the liberation. And Vaisheshika, what we learned, it engages the methods of Nyaya philosophy or logic in a deeper analysis, and it talks about the invisible atoms, how ultimately break down into invisible atoms. And then Sankhya develops this analytical process further to help the soul to become aloof from matter. Thus, through yoga, the soul awakens its spiritual vision to see itself beyond the body. See how everything is connected. Then Karma Mimamsa. Karma Mimamsa directs the soul to the goals of Vedic ritualism. And Vedanta focuses on the supreme spiritual goal which is taught in the various Upanishads. Originally, the six darshanas, Sad darshanas, they were like something like the various departments in a modern university. But when Kali Yuga started, the scholars of the Shad Darsanas, they become divided. and some even misinterpreted the Vedic knowledge for their own selfish needs. For instance, Karma Mimamsa was misused by the priests to justify their slaughter of animals in Vedic sacrifice. That's why later on we'll study about the Buddhism. That's why Buddha, who is an incarnation of the Supreme Lord, he came and because of very obvious reasons, he said, I don't believe these Vedas. Because people who are doing animal sacrifices
That
on
will
the
come, Prabhuji, that will come when we talk about Buddhism, I'll
yes,
be discussing
we'll,
that.
we'll
Yeah.
learn in
That article that I shared with you, remember that article he brings out very easily about that, how it's evolved everything. It's a time thing, We
yes,
will talk about it. So let's not talk about now that.
yes, and that's why when King Ashoka he instituted the Buddha's doctrine or philosophy in his empire. Many of the Brahmanas they abandoned Vedic scholarship and they followed this Sunyavada philosophy. This we'll learn later on. And later on, Buddhism itself eclipsed by the teachings of Shankara. That portion I'll be covering. Now, each darshana, this Shat darshana which we learned today, in detail, we learned three of them. They are codified by the with the Vedic sages. As we learned Nyaya by Gautama, Vaisheshika by Kannada, Sankhya by Kapila, and as Prabhuji told, please remember there are two Kapilas. Then yoga by Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Prabhuji also took many classes of us also on Patanjali Karma, Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Then Karma Mimamsa by Jaimini and Vedanta Sutra by Vyasadeva. Because the sages they drew their arguments from the same source, that is the Vedic source. Their darshanas or the philosophies, they share many of the same basic philosophical principles. For instance, the self is understood to be an individual spiritual being and it is conscious and eternally it is conscious. The soul, not the body. The self acquires a succession of physical bodies throughout many lives through reincarnation under the law of karma. And the self suffers because of its contact with matter. And the end of suffering is the goal of philosophy that everybody describes. And a person who adheres to any of these six philosophies observes the same sadhana as the follower of the other systems. And this practice or sadhana consists of basic practices of purification, self control, that is the foundation of the Vedic culture. That means at one stage you will see all these six, they are also connected. But we have to accept certain things and discard certain things. That's why if we do not have much knowledge, we should not go into this and study more about these things. We should only study Srimad Bhagavatam. These are being given as the basic knowledge because these terms we keep on using. We should understand these terms. That's why the Prabhuji is explaining. We should not talk more about them because the complete thing we might not have understood because they are very, very difficult subjects. I have also studied them a long time back, but this is also beyond me. I also cannot understand them fully. So thank you very much, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Yeah,
Sharad
Prabhuji,
Prabhu,
I'll
yeah,
take just 30 seconds because it's very important. Sharad Prabhuji mentioned that soul, the Atma, suffers and how to get rid of that suffering. So this is the essence of all the philosophies. They are approaching in a different way, taking the source maybe wrongly or whatever is that. That's very nice thing. That's what it connecting point. Thank you.
Thank you. Sanjay Prabhu is with us. Sanjay Prabhuji, welcome back.
So, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna dear all.
How was
Yes,
your trip?
Prabhuji. It was very enlivening. So we went to three places, Jagannath Puri, and then from there Varanasi, Prayag.
Well, we can hardly hear you.
Oh, is it? Sorry, 1 minute. Let me fix my mic. I don't know. This happens all the time. Better now? Hare Krishna.
Yeah, better. Yes.
Better.
Hare Krishna dear all. Thank you. I missed you all and prayed for you. We started our yatra in Jagannath Puri, and from there we went to Varanasi, Prayag, and then from there we went to Rishikesh and Hardwar.
Oh, you went to Rishikesh too all the way?
Yes,
I've
Prabhu,
been
it was
there.
very, very, very enlivening. Like Rishikesh, Hardwar was my first time visit. It was very quiet, very deep, like you can meditate. And interestingly, I was doing the review, Mataji was doing the review this morning, and I was going through your chapter as well, how you were explained like um, we should try to contemplate and thank and have a gratitude for Lord everywhere. And Mataji was also saying in every aspect try to remember. So those such places, they make it very easy. Right?
I mean,
Anywhere
really,
you
those
go,
places,
yeah.
really, it affects our consciousness in a positive
Yes.
way.
Yes, I could sense that. And there was like a lot of positive influence specifically because of like, association of devotees. My Guru Maharaj was there.
Yeah.
And we met a couple of very, very advanced devotees, and they walked us through and gave us like very deeper insight. Like in Jagannath Puri, there is a place called Chatak Parvat, where when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he saw a sand dune, he imagined it to be Govardhan and he ran towards it. So that is really, now that is an ashram which was built by Bhakti Siddhant Swami Maharaj, and it is called Govardhan in Jagannath Puri. So he walked us through like what is the deeper meaning of Govardhan, what actually it means. So in one line, there was a very long, elaborate explanation, but in one line he said that Govardhan is the personified form of Lord Krishna's love for Radharani. So it is a very important place for Vaishnavas to be there. And then he explained us all the different about Lord Shiva. There are temples like Jambeshwar Mahadev. So how Shivji is the Kshetrapal there. And then he also explained us. He showed us like the person, the devotee with us, is actually a foreign body, but he is a disciple of one of the Prabhupada disciple. I forget the name. But he's like staying there, and he has done so much deep research on Jagannath Puri, and he took us to very unique temple. There was one temple which is the only temple of Lord Narasimha, where he is standing on Garuda. So you will never find that anywhere. So that's there. And then he told us very unique pastimes of Jagannath Ji and all the different throughout the day the activities that happen over there. And then we went at Tota Gopinath, where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he wound up his pastime. Then he disappeared from there. Archana Mataji walked us through the whole pastime there. But in short, there is a deity of Lord Krishna, the only deity of Lord Krishna sitting in Padma Asana. And it was worshipped by Advaita Acharya. But when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left, he got very old and he could not stand. So that deity agreed to sit down in Padmasana so that he can take services from sorry, which one was that? I think not Advaita Acharya, sorry.
Gadadhar Pandita.
Gadadhar Pandit Prabhuji.
Gadadhar Pandit, yes, sorry. Gadadhar Pandit. So then early in the morning, if you go for Mangal Aarti there, they will show you that lotus feet of the Lord, and there is a mark there where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, from there he entered, and then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his cloth over there, so ISKCON has created a shrine. So that was Jagannath Puri. Many other places. We also went to a place called Brahmagiri, which is considered as a place where Krishna and all the gopis, they perform this Ras Leela pastime, and then Krishna disappears. And all
Where
the
is that
gopis are.
Brahmagiri? Brahmagiri, where is that place?
It's in Jagannath Puri.
Jagannath Puri, yes.
Yes. And it's near, there is a temple called Alarnath.
Alarnath.
So when Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu during Rath Yatra or sometime when entry to the temple is closed, then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu goes there in Alarnath, and then there he used to bow down on a stone. That stone still has imprints of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, so that is still worshipped. So Jagannath
Okay.
Puri has amazing treasures, right? It's a bit noisy, and externally you might find it chaotic at times, but if you go with the right set of devotees, they can give you amazing deep insight.
Thank
Varanasi
you.
was wonderful. It was um, again noisy, crowded, but it has its own mystical charm. Like we could feel at the ghats a strong presence of Lord Shiva, and we went to places of importance to Vaishnavas, which is Bindu Madhav Temple, where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu will come every day after taking the bath at Panchaganga Ghat. He will take bath every day. Then he will go there to Bindu Madhav Temple, and he stayed at Tapan Mishra's house. So we went there as well. We performed some kirtan. And also there is one more place in Varanasi. There is a tree called Chaitanya Vat, which is no longer there, but they have put a shrine, the Shadbhuj form of Lord Chaitanya. So we went there as well. And then we went to also at Panchaganga Ghat, I think, is where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave instruction to Rupa Goswami for some time. Right? And then we went to Prayagraj as well, of course, the holy day over there. And then there is still a temple, Ashwamedha Ghat, where he instructed, I think, Rupa Goswami, right, for 10 days, or Sanatan Goswami, one of the Goswami for 10 days. So that is still there. I mean, if you go with the right set of people, you really imbibe all that, mood and come
Yeah.
in. And then Rishikesh was different. It's I don't think Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went there, but the presence of Ganga and the influence of Mother Ganga is amazing. It makes you
You can
feel.
see clearly the two muddy water and that water, clear
This
water.
Dev Prayag we went to, where this is where Ganga begins, and river Alaknanda and Bhagirathi, they unite there and they form Ganga. You can see there are two different colors. Right?
Yeah.
One is green,
I've been there,
is
so I saw that.
yellow, and then the green one is Alaknanda. I think yellow one is Bhagirathi, which is very fierce, and Alaknanda is very calm, and so we took a dip there as well. So it was wonderful. Hopefully, someday
Thank
we
you,
can
Prabhuji. Thank you.
I know Radha Vinod Prabhu, you are going to Jagannath Puri, right? I will give you the list of places I think to be.
Yes, Prabhuji. I was listening, I was writing down. I need your help. Thank you. And blessing also. Yes.
So, Prabhuji, you can be our guide, right?
Oh, he is our
He has
another
been living there,
answer.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you for.
So it's about time.
the
I think we
prayers.
conclude the class.
Yes.
National prayer. Anybody volunteer? Anybody volunteer?
I can do Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Yeah, please.
Namaste Narasimhaya. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praladana Praladana Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Hiranyakashi Purvakshaha Shilatankanakalaye Shilatankanakalaye To Narsimha Parato Narsimha Ito Narsimha Parato Narsimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha Yato Yato Yami Tato Narsimha ही नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह मही नरसिंह हृदये नरसिंह नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे नरसिंहमदिं शरणं प्रपदे तव करकमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गं दलित हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गं केशवधृता नरहरिरूप जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे तव करकमलवरे नखाम् अद्भुतशृङ्गाम् दलित हिरण्यकशिपु तनुभृङ्गाम् केशवदीता नरहरिरूपा जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय जगदीश हरे जय नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव नरसिंहदेव जय नरसिंहदेव जय प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज प्रहलाद महाराज जय प्रहलाद महाराज नित्य गौर हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य गौर हरि बोल जय जय प्रभुपाद 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद जय जय गुरुदेव 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 जय जय गुरुदेव निताई गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण दंडवत
Hare
प्रणाम
Krishna.
to all, दंडवत प्रणाम प्रभु
Thank you. Thank you very much, Samita Mataji. Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for your patience. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jai Shri Prabhupada, Jai Shri all the Vaishnavas. So we meet again tomorrow. Hare Bol.
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very
Hare
much.
Krishna, Prabhu Bhai.
Thank you,
Hare
Chandra.
Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you, Sarah Prabhuji. Thank you, Sandeep.